Welcome to today's video Tuning into Ukraine, where we'll explore one of the most tragic and controversial episodes in Ukrainian and Polish history, what's often referred to as the Volyn tragedy. This event, which took place during World War II, has left deep wounds in the collective memory of both nations. Today we will speak with Ivanna Klympush-Tsintsadze, People's Deputy and Chair of the Verkhovna Rada Committee on Ukraine's integration into the European Union, to hear her perspective on whether events from 80 years ago should influence decisions made in 2024. If you want to learn more about the subject, please continue watching this video and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss our videos in the future. In 1943 and 1944, Volyn, a region located in western Ukraine, became the epicenter of a violent and bloody conflict between Ukrainian and Polish communities. At that time, the region was home to a mixed population, around 80% Ukrainians and 15% Poles. Tensions between these two groups had been simmering for decades, but the chaos of World War II provided the perfect storm for things to spiral out of control. Amidst the German occupation of Ukraine, the Organization of Ukrainian Nationalists, or OUN, decided to take drastic action. Their goal was to ensure that Western Ukrainian lands would not fall under Polish control after the war. Many in Poland view this as a genocidal campaign targeting innocent Polish civilians. According to Polish sources, at least 35,000 Polish civilians were killed during this period. Some estimates suggest that the number could be as high as 100,000. Entire villages were wiped out and countless families were destroyed. But the conflict wasn't one-sided. Ukrainian sources emphasized that the OUN's action were motivated by the need to prevent Polish forces, like the Home Army, from reclaiming Ukrainian lands. There were also reports of Polish partisans attacking Ukrainian villages in retaliation. Ukrainian historians estimate that between 21 and 24,000 Ukrainians lost their lives in the conflict as well.
When we are thinking about building dialogue in 2024, I think first and foremost, we have to focus on our contemporary situation and making sure that we are looking together to the future of both nations, both Poland and Ukraine. And if in this absolutely barbaric war of Russian Federation against Ukraine fails, unfortunately, this war will definitely spill over to Poland and other European nations. And that means that then the survival and the possibilities of development, prosperity, security of Polish people will be also put under a big question. So I think right now we are finding ourselves in the middle of this turmoil. It's extremely important to see what unites us and how to unite the forces in order to make sure that we can build the future. Definitely, that does not mean that we are going to cross out our past. We will have to look into our past altogether.
This tragic conflict left both nations grappling with the legacy of pain and loss. Today, Poles remember the Volyn tragedy as a period of ethnic cleansing and genocide, while Ukrainians highlight the complex motivations behind the OUN's action, citing the need to resist Polish domination and punish those who collaborated with Nazi and Soviet forces. Reconciliation between Ukrainians and Poles hasn't been easy, but there have been efforts on both sides to bridge the gap. Ukrainian leaders have acknowledged the pain caused by the OUN's action, and in recent years, both nations have embraced the motto, "We ask for forgiveness and we forgive." It's a call for both sides to remember the past, but also to seek healing for the future. Despite different approaches to reconciliation, the main issue revolves around the exhumation of Polish victims. This topic has even become a point of speculation regarding Ukraine's accession to the European Union. In July 2024, Polish Defense Minister Władysław Kościniak-Kamysz stirred controversy when he said Poland shouldn't approve Ukraine's EU membership until the so-called Volyn issue is resolved. For him, it's a matter of justice. There is no unified stance in Poland. Some leaders, like Speaker of the Sejm Szymon Hołownia, say these disagreements can be worked out after Ukraine joins the EU. And then there's President Andrzej Duda, who has outright rejected this kind of political blackmail, warning that it echoes Vladimir Putin's tactics. That's right. Duda believes bringing up the Volyn tragedy to block Ukraine's EU path plays right into Putin's hands. And let's be real, isn't this exactly the kind of division Russia thrives on?
I really hope that on both sides, on the Ukrainian side and the Polish side, we do have enough wisdom to make sure that at this moment, Poland will not be blocking Ukraine's movement towards reaching its strategic goal of joining the European Union, and based on the historic grievances and historical differences between and difficulties between our countries, and I hope that on this path to Ukraine's European membership, we do have enough time to work on those difficult issues and find the common approach that would be satisfactory and acceptable for both nations and for both peoples, and that would recognize differences even in some of the approaches.
Who's really to blame for the Volyn tragedy? Like many historical events, the truth isn't black and white. Ukrainian historian Yaroslav Hrytsak has a pretty bold stance. He argues that Ukraine must have the courage to admit its role in the tragedy, that the OUN units committed ethnic cleansing. Hrytsak believes that accountability is crucial. But he also emphasizes that Poland needs to acknowledge its own role in the lead-up to the tragedy, particularly its oppressive policies toward Ukrainians during the interwar period. Despite the strong opinions on both sides, Hrytsak is convinced that Poland won't actually block Ukraine's EU accession over the Volyn tragedy, especially when Ukraine's Euro-integration process reaches its final stages. So what about Defense Minister Kosiniak-Kamysz? Well, Hrytsak thinks his statements are less about history and more about politics. Kamysz is part of the opposition Polish People's Party, which, by the way, got tangled up in a major grain scandal at the Polish-Ukrainian border just this past winter. The reality is Polish society isn't monolithic. There are divisions, and the Volyn tragedy, sadly, remains part of the political debate in both countries. But the most important takeaway here: both Ukraine and Poland need to remember that political struggles shouldn't overshadow the path towards reconciliation, and more importantly, towards Ukraine's place in the European Union. Thanks for tuning into Ukraine. Let's keep this conversation respectful, informed, and open. If you found today's video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, let's keep learning from history so we don't repeat it.